The day I confronted my sister about her betrayal. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. You used my identity like it was a coat you could borrow, I said, loud enough that everyone heard. Brooke's smile locked in place. Mom's fork hovered. Uncle Ron stopped chewing. The Christmas lights around Mom's windows blinked like nothing was happening, but my hands shook so badly I had to pin them under the table. I wasn't a dramatic person. I worked payroll at a construction company. Numbers, rules, trust. I showed up early, paid my rent on time, kept a boring little emergency fund because life loved surprises. Then Monday morning my phone buzzed. Balance below $50. Impossible. I opened my app and felt my stomach drop. 3 Zelle transfers, $900 each, all within 12 minutes, sent to a name I didn't recognize. B. Harper. The memo lines were blank, like whoever did it didn't even bother with a story. I called the bank from my car. I didn't send these. The rep asked, "Do you share your login with anyone?" No, I said too fast. Because there was one person who could answer my security questions without guessing. My sister. Brooke knew my first dog's name. She knew our childhood address. She knew Mom's maiden name because she treated family trivia like a game she had to win. By lunch, my boss called me in. HR sat with a folder like it weighed a ton. "Maya," he said carefully, "we received a complaint you accessed employee data without authorization." "That's literally my job," I whispered. HR slid a printed email across the desk. It was from Maya. Sandoval at ProtonMail.com. Not my email, but it referenced payroll adjustments and included internal details only I should know. Attached was a screenshot of our system, my username visible in the corner. I couldn't breathe. I didn't have a Proton Mail. I didn't send that. And I didn't take that screenshot. That night Brooke called, voice honey sweet. "Oh my God, May. That's terrifying. Do you think it's a scammer?" While she talked, my credit report refreshed. A new store card opened in my name, already used. Now, at Mom's dinner table, Brooke finally snapped. "What are you talking about, Maya?" I slid a folder toward her, screenshots, timestamps, and one name she couldn't explain. Her eyes hit the first page, and I saw a recognition flash like a spark. Brooke and I grew up like a two-person team. After Dad left, she became my translator for the world, older by 3 years, louder by a mile. She taught me how to braid my hair, how to walk into school like I belonged there, how to crack a joke when I wanted to cry. Mom called Brooke our bright one. I was our steady one. Brooke collected compliments. I collected routines. Still, she was the person I texted when I got promoted, when my car wouldn't start, when I thought a guy liked me and I didn't trust my own judgment. And Brooke could be incredible. She'd show up with soup when I was sick. She'd argue with a manager until I got a refund I was too polite to demand. That was the version of her I kept. But there were smaller versions too, the ones I explained away. She always borrowed things and forgot to return them. She loved telling stories where she was the hero and I was the helpless side character. She flirted with my boyfriends in a way that made me feel crazy for even noticing. Years ago, I got a call from collections about a medical bill that wasn't mine. Brooke laughed. "Probably someone typed your number wrong," she said. "You worry too much." I accepted that because accepting it was easier than asking why my name was attached to anything that wasn't mine. Lately, she'd been helpful. Too helpful. 2 weeks before my account got drained, she texted, "Random question, what was our first dog's name again? I'm doing a security quiz." I answered. Then she asked Mom's maiden name for a trivia thing. Then she asked for my birthday for astrology. The last message still sat in my phone like a loaded gun. "If you ever need me to handle anything with your bank, I totally can." I told myself she was just being Brooke, over-involved, dramatic, affectionate. Then, the day before the Zelle transfers, she showed up at my apartment with a brand new phone and asked to use my Wi-Fi. "I forgot my password," she said, laughing, and held the screen toward me. I typed it in without looking at what apps were open. And now I couldn't stop replaying what her screen had flashed for half a second. The bank gave me a case number and a script. "We'll investigate," the rep said. "It can take up to 10 business days." 10 days. I repeated. "My rent is due in 5. Silence. Then, "Do you have another account?" I lied and said yes, then sat in my car with my forehead against the steering wheel. My emergency fund was the other account. It was gone. The Zelle transfers weren't pending. They were completed, clean and final. At home, I pulled up the transaction details. The recipient, B. Harper, had a phone number attached, partially masked, but the last 4 digits were visible. 7712. Brooke's old number ended in 7712. She'd upgraded last month and made a show of throwing her old phone in the trash like a mic drop. I called her anyway. If it wasn't her, she'd be furious on my behalf. She answered on the second ring. Hey, May. What's up? My account got wiped, I said. 3 Zelle transfers. Do you know anyone named Harper? A beat. Harper? Like the author? She laughed softly. No, babe. That's weird. The last 4 digits on the recipient number are 7712. Another beat. Longer. Oh my God, she breathed. That was my old number. I told you I changed it. Brooke, I said, voice tightening. Why would your old number be attached to my transfers? Maybe someone recycled it, she said quickly. That happens. You're spiraling. Spiraling. Like my panic was the problem, not the empty account. Then she got syrupy again. Listen, don't tell Mom yet. She'll freak out, and it won't help. It was such a specific instruction, like she was steering a car I didn't realize she was driving. An hour later, my boss called me in. HR sat with a folder. We're placing you on administrative leave, she said, and slid a screenshot across the table. An internal chat, sent from my username. The message read, if payroll doesn't cooperate, I can pull their SSNs. My mouth went dry. That's not me. My boss looked tired. IT pulled the access logs. It came from your login. In the parking lot afterward, my phone buzzed. Brooke had texted. Please don't make this a thing, okay? We can talk later. Brooke arrived like she was directing a movie. Grocery bag, cheap wine, sympathy face. Then she walked right past me into my kitchen. Okay, she said, opening cabinets. We breathe. We make a plan. And you don't let some random scammer ruin your life. I didn't say scammer, I muttered. She poured wine into my mismatched mugs. You're exhausted, she said. That's how they get you. They got into my bank, I said. And my work account. God, May, she breathed. That's so violating. Then she started listing steps like she'd rehearsed them. Freeze your credit. Call HR back. Tell the bank it's unauthorized Zelle. Those were like, what, 900 each? My spine went cold. I hadn't told her the amounts. I set my mug down. How did you know they were $900? She blinked. Because you said you had like $3,000 missing. I said my account was wiped. I corrected. I didn't say the transfer amounts. Her laugh was too bright. May, you always do this. You grab a tiny detail because you're anxious. I'm helping you. I didn't tell you. I repeated, quieter. She stepped in and squeezed my shoulder. You're in shock. Your brain is making patterns. The touch felt wrong. I pulled away. HR thinks I threatened to pull SSNs from my login. Brooke's face arranged itself into outrage. That's absurd. You'd never say that. But someone did, I said. Someone who sounds like me. Her tone sharpened for a second. Why are you looking at me like that? I didn't answer. I watched her eyes flick to my laptop, to my phone, to the bank forms on my counter. Then she reached for my phone. Let me see the alerts, she said, casual. No, I snapped. Her hand hung in the air. Excuse me. I'm handling it, I said, voice shaking but firm. A smile slid back on, brittle at the edges. Fine. I get it. You don't trust anyone right now. She left with a soft, call me, like I was the irrational one. The second the door clicked, I opened my iCloud settings, because my gut screamed to check. Under devices, there were 2 phones listed. One of them wasn't mine, and it was labeled Brooke's iPhone. I didn't sleep. I stared at the iCloud screen until my eyes burned, clicking in and out like the device might vanish if I looked away. It didn't. Brooke's phone sat there, logged into my account. In the morning, I called Mom. My voice sounded normal, which felt like its own kind of lie. Hi, honey, Mom said. Are you coming over tonight? Brooke's making her spinach dip. Mom, I said. A device named Brooke's iPhone is logged into my iCloud. A pause, then the smoothest explanation. Brooke helps you with tech stuff. Maybe you logged in on her phone. I didn't, I said. And my bank account. Maya, she cut in, gentle but firm. You're under stress. You're seeing enemies everywhere. I'm seeing a device, I insisted. With her name. Mom sighed the way she did when she wanted me to drop a topic. Sweetheart, if you start accusing your sister with no proof, you'll blow up this family. No proof. I laughed once sharp. My money is gone. My job is on hold. Her phone is in my iCloud. You don't know it was her, Mom said, voice tightening. And Brooke has been sensitive lately. What does that mean? I asked. Silence. Then, that's not your business. Brooke's storms were always private, protected. My problems were always something I needed to solve quietly so no one else got wet. Mom, I said, softer. If it wasn't her, she'll want to help me fix it. She is helping, Mom snapped. She loves you. The words were a trap. If she loved me, I shouldn't suspect her. If I suspected her, I was ungrateful. Just don't make a scene, Mom pleaded. Not at Christmas. Not in front of Ron. There it was, family image. Peace at any price. I hung up and opened Find My. Hands suddenly steady. I took a screenshot of the live location, then another when it refreshed, just in case it moved. My pulse thudded in my ears as I grabbed my keys. Brooke's device had a live dot on the map. It was still parked outside my bank branch, right now, in daylight. The bank smelled like carpet cleaner and impatience. I walked in with screenshots, a case number, and a throat so tight it hurt. I need the fraud department, I told the teller. I sat by the window and watched Brooke's lived bounce in the parking lot like she was pacing. My stomach kept trying to climb into my ribs. A woman in a navy blazer called my name. Her badge read Monica. She led me into a small office and shut the door. Walk me through it, she said. I did. Dates, times, amounts. December 15th, 9:12 a.m., $900. 9:18 a.m., $900. 9:24 a.m., $900. I showed her the recipient name B. Harper and the masked number ending in 7712. Monica typed fast. These were initiated as if from your account, she said, then frowned. But the IP address isn't typical for you. It pinged near a coffee shop on Elm. Elm Street was 2 blocks from Mom's house. Can I get a printout of the transaction history? I asked. I can, she said, already printing. And I'll add it to the fraud case notes. My phone buzzed in my hand. Apple ID sign-in requested. A code appeared. Under it, requested near Elm Street. Someone was trying to get in again, right now. I hit don't allow, then took a screenshot of that too. Monica's eyebrows lifted. Everything okay? Someone's actively accessing my accounts, I said. Did anyone come in and change my phone number? Or add a device? Monica's face went careful. If fraud is involved, we can. A shadow crossed the office window. I looked up and saw glossy hair, oversized sunglasses, and a scarf wrapped like a costume. Brooke was inside the bank. She walked to the lobby counter, smiled, and leaned in like she had every right to be there. Monica followed my stare. Do you know her? My mouth went dry. That's my sister. Before Monica could stand, Brooke pushed the office door open without knocking. Maya, she sang. Why didn't you tell me you were coming? Then her eyes dropped to the fresh papers on the desk, and her smile tightened. Are those the bank's fraud case notes with your transactions on them? I didn't answer Brooke. Monica did. Ma'am, this is a private meeting, she said, standing. Please leave. Brooke's smile stayed glued on. I'm family. I'm just helping. I turned to her. Get out. For a second her eyes went sharp, then she softened into concern. May, you're upset. You're making a scene over paperwork. Monica's hand hovered near her phone. Security. Brooke backed out with a little laugh, but as the door swung shut she murmured, You're really doing this? Over money? Monica printed the transaction history and added a note I couldn't ignore. 2 days before the transfers, a new trusted device was added online. Not in branch. With credentials. From the bank, I drove straight to my office and begged IT for the payroll access logs. Darren, the IT guy, looked miserable as he pulled them up. My username signed in at 8:41 p.m. the night before HR called me in, while I was asleep. The device listed wasn't my laptop. It was iPhone, iOS 17. I don't own an iPhone, I said. Darren scrolled. 2-factor code went to a different number that night. Your profile was updated. My hands went cold. What number? He swallowed and read the last 4 digits. 7712, Brooke's old number. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I asked Darren to print it. Then I photographed it anyway because suddenly I didn't trust paper, printers, or the air in the room. On the drive home, I called my phone carrier and asked about SIM swaps or porting requests. The rep confirmed there had been a port-out attempt, blocked because my line had an account PIN. A PIN only one person ever mocked me for. You're so paranoid, Brooke always said, smiling like she knew better. That night, I went to Uncle Ron's. He took one look at my face and didn't ask questions. Kitchen table, he said. Receipts. I spread out the bank notes, access logs, screenshots, and dates. Ron read in silence, jaw working. Ron tapped the IP line and whispered, "That's your mother's Wi-Fi." Uncle Ron didn't panic. He got quiet, which was worse. "If that login came from Diane's Wi-Fi," he said, sliding the paper back to me, "then someone was sitting in her house." "Brooke practically lives there," I said, and my voice sounded far away. Ron rubbed his temples. "Maya, this might not be just your accounts." He opened a file box like he'd been waiting for an excuse. "Your mom asked me last summer to look at her retirement paperwork," he said. "She couldn't figure out why her savings wasn't growing." My stomach flipped. "And?" He pulled out a statement and pointed at 3 withdrawals labeled cashier's check. $1, $200, $850, $1,500, each dated right around a Brooke emergency, car trouble, a surprise bill, a deposit she needed now. "I assumed Diane was helping," Ron said. "But she swore she didn't authorize these." Mom's voice echoed in my head. "Don't accuse your sister with no proof." Ron showed me a bank notice about an address change. Mom's mailing address updated to a P.O. box I didn't recognize. The change form was initialed D.S. in neat, careful handwriting. Mom's handwriting was loopy and messy. Brooke's was neat. "Diane brought this to me," Ron said. "Then she told me to drop it. Said she didn't want to start something." Of course she did. I thought about Brooke at my bank, eyes on my fraud notes. The iCloud sign-in request near Elm. The payroll access code going to 7712. My stolen money suddenly felt like the smallest piece. What if she's been doing this for years? I whispered. Ron nodded once. Patterns don't start on Monday. We started laying out dates across his table, screenshots, statements, printouts. The same last 4 digits kept surfacing like a fingerprint. Then Ron reached into the box again and pulled out an unopened envelope addressed to my mother. Ron set it between us like evidence, and neither of us touched it at first. The return address stamped on it read, County Courthouse, Civil Division. Ron opened the courthouse envelope with a butter knife like it might bite him. Inside was a notice, civil summons, small claims. The plaintiff was a payday loan company I'd never heard of. The defendant was my mother, Diane Sandoval. The amount was $4,800. The attached loan agreement included a signature, Diane S., neat and slanted, like someone copying from memory. "Your mom didn't take a payday loan," I said, even though it was obvious. Ron's jaw clenched. "And Diane doesn't even know about this," he said. "So someone redirected her mail." The P.O. box. The address change. Brooke. That afternoon, I drove to Mom's house with the summons in my purse like a grenade. I told myself I wasn't confronting Brooke yet. I just needed information. I needed to see Mom's mail. Mom opened the door, already worried. "Maya, honey, are you okay?" "I need to talk," I said. Her eyes flicked toward the stairs. "Is this about the bank thing?" "Because Brooke said." "Where is she?" I asked. Mom's shoulders tightened. "Upstairs." In the kitchen, I asked to see the mail. Mom hesitated, then produced a small, neat stack. Only a week's worth. Too clean. Too curated. "Mom," I said, "do you have a P.O. box?" "What?" "No," she said. "Why would I?" I slid Ron's bank notice onto the table. "Then why did your bank change your address to one?" Mom stared at it, blinking fast. "That can't be right." "It is," I said. "And you were served." Her face drained. "Served with what?" I pulled the courthouse notice out. Mom's hand started shaking before she even touched it. "This is a mistake," she whispered. I didn't do this." "I know," I said. "So who did?" Mom looked toward the stairs, and the answer lived in her silence. "Brooke wouldn't," she whispered, but it sounded like a prayer. A floorboard creaked overhead. Footsteps. Brooke's voice floated down, bright as ever. "Hey, who's here?" I called up. "It's me." Brooke appeared at the top of the stairs, phone in hand, smile ready, until she saw the courthouse paper on the table. For the first time in my life, my sister looked scared. Brooke came down the stairs slowly, then stepped into the kitchen with her calm face back in place. "What's that?" she asked, nodding at the summons. Mom tried to shield it. "Nothing you need to worry about." Brooke's eyes flicked to me. "Maya dragged you into her paranoia, didn't she?" It's a courthouse notice, I said. Mom's being sued. Brooke let out a tiny laugh. Scams send fake legal letters all the time. It's real, I said. There's a loan agreement with Mom's name. Her gaze dropped to the signature. Her throat moved once. Then she did what she always did when cornered. She got angry first. This is why I told you not to spiral, she snapped. You don't understand identity theft, so you blame the nearest person. The nearest person is the one logged into my iCloud, I said. Your phone is listed on my account. Mom flinched. Maya. Brooke threw her hands up. I logged in because you always forget passwords. I was helping. You helped by draining my account? I said. I didn't drain your account, she hissed. Then explain the Zelle transfers to B. Harper ending in 7712, I said. Explain why payroll codes went as 7712. Explain why the login came from Mom's Wi-Fi. For half a second her face went blank. Then she stepped close and lowered her voice into sister soft. May, she said. Do you hear yourself? You're about to accuse me of a felony in front of Mom. I looked at Mom. Her eyes were wet, hands clasped so tight her knuckles were white. Brooke saw it and turned to her, voice trembling on command. After everything I've done, she whispered. She wants to destroy me. Mom's lips quivered. Brooke. Brooke's voice cracked perfectly. If she files a report, I lose my job. People will talk. We'll be those people. My resolve wobbled. Because shame was a family language Mom spoke fluently. Brooke leaned in, eyes wide. Please, let me handle it, she said. I can fix it. Just stop digging. I almost believed her, until my phone buzzed with a new email alert. Subject, your Apple ID password was changed successfully. My body went cold. Apple ID password changed successfully. Brooke's eyes flicked to my screen, and in that instant I knew it wasn't a scammer. It was my sister watching me in real time. So I did the one thing she didn't expect. I acted defeated. Okay, I whispered, forcing my voice to shake. I won't file anything today. Brooke exhaled, relieved. Thank you, she said, like she'd just saved me. I left Mom's house and, in my car, called Apple support. I locked the account, reset everything from a device Brooke couldn't touch, removed Brooke's iPhone, and saved the sign-in history, timestamps, locations, device IDs. Then I called the bank fraud line and requested written case notes, plus a verbal password on my profile. I forwarded myself Monica's emails and screenshotted the Elm Street sign-in requests again. That night Uncle Ron came over. We covered my table with receipts, Zelle records, iCloud screenshots, Apple sign-in alerts, IT logs showing payroll codes sent to 7712, and Mom's courthouse summons. Ron leaned back. You have enough to report, he said. I'm going to, I said. But first I want her to say it. Ron understood immediately. A confession. In front of Mom, I said. So she can't rewrite history. Ron nodded. Then you choose the stage. Christmas dinner was 2 nights away. Mom's house would be full of witness pressure, Brooke's favorite environment. So I decided to make it mine. I called Mom and kept my voice gentle. I'm coming to dinner, I said. I won't make a scene. I just want family. Mom sounded relieved. Thank you, honey. Then I texted Brooke, bait wrapped in apology. I'm sorry I got intense. Can you come early to help me sort out the bank stuff? If she was innocent, she'd help. If she was guilty, she'd want control. Ron agreed to arrive early too, to watch the game. His phone would record from his shirt pocket. I printed 2 copies of everything and tucked them into a folder. I set my own phone's recorder shortcut on the lock screen. Just before midnight, Brooke replied, Yeah, I need to talk to you alone. Brooke arrived early in a fluffy coat and a bright smile. She hugged me like we were on camera. Truce, she asked. Truce. I lied and started recording in my pocket. The second we were in the hallway, her voice dropped. You need to calm down, she whispered. You're going to ruin everything. What did you do? I asked. I didn't do anything, she snapped. I opened my folder. Then explain why your phone was logged into my iCloud. I said. Explain why my Apple password got changed while you were in Mom's kitchen. Brooke scoffed. Those alerts can be faked. Okay, I said, flipping pages. Then explain this. I slid out the receipts. The bank printout showing 3 Zelle transfers, $900 each, to B. Harper, recipient number ending 7712. The IT log showing my payroll accessed from an iPhone, and the 2 FA sent to 7712, and Apple sign-in requests near Elm Street. plus a device list labeled Brooke's iPhone. Brooke's eyes moved too fast. You're obsessed. Mom's address was changed to A.P.O. Box, I said. Initial D. S. in handwriting that looks like yours. And Mom got a courthouse summons for a payday loan. Her breath hitched. Tiny, real. You don't understand, she said. Mom was going to find out anyway. So you did it, I said. I handled it, she snapped. I was fixing it. With my money? I asked. With my job. Her face twisted. You think you're better than me because you play it safe. I walked into the living room. Uncle Ron looked up from the TV. Mom appeared in the doorway, already afraid. Mom, I said, sit at the table. Now. Brooke hissed. Maya, don't. We sat. Ron to my right, Mom across from me. Brooke hovered at the edge, smile back on like duct tape. You used my identity like it was a coat you could borrow, I said, loud enough that everyone heard. Mom's mouth opened and closed. Brooke. Brooke's smile cracked. You're twisting things, she said, voice climbing. You always twist things because you're jealous of me. I stared. Jealous? Brooke's voice went cold. You were never supposed to win, Maya. The room went still, like even the house was listening. Mom's eyes filled. Brooke, she whispered. What is she talking about? Brooke laughed, but it didn't sound cute anymore. She's talking about her little spreadsheets, she said. She's convinced she's the only one allowed to mess up. Uncle Ron's voice cut through. Answer your mother. Brooke glared at him. Of course you take her side. Maya's the good one. Maya's the one whose money got stolen, Ron said, and whose job is on the line. Mom reached for Brooke's hand. Brooke yanked it away. It wasn't supposed to hurt her, Brooke said, and the honesty in that sentence made my stomach drop. I just needed time. Time for what? I asked. Brooke's chin lifted. You never had to fight for attention in this house. Mom looked like she was watching her life split in half. Brooke, if you did something, just tell me, she pleaded. We can fix it. Brooke's eyes went bright with rage. Fix it? Like you fixed everything for Maya? That's not. Mom started, but her voice died. Brooke turned to me. You had the stable job. The steady life. You always land on your feet. Her mouth twisted. I was just taking what was left. And impersonating me at work? I said, threatening to pull SSNs? She shrugged like it was a style choice. People don't listen until you sound dangerous. Ron pushed his chair back. Jesus. Mom covered her mouth. Why? Brooke snapped. Because I had bills, okay? I was drowning, and I couldn't look like I was drowning. There it was, debt wrapped in vanity, control dressed up as help. I asked, where did the money go? Brooke's eyes darted. It's complicated. Ron stood. It's not complicated. It's criminal. That word hit Mom like a slap. She turned on Ron. Don't say that, she begged. Not my daughter. Brooke seized the opening, grabbed her coat, and smiled at me. See, she said. Now Mom's sick. Now you're the villain. You made me the villain when you used my name, I said. Her smile went razor thin. Good luck proving it, she murmured and walked out. Mom shook in her chair. Ron put a hand on her shoulder. She didn't seem to feel it. My phone buzzed with an email from HR. Urgent. We received new information about your conduct. HR's new information was Brooke, of course. In the conference room the next morning, HR slid a printed email across the table. Brooke wrote that I was unstable, that I'd confessed to manipulating payroll, and that I was retaliating because she refused to lend me money. It was a fantasy written with my name. I kept my voice flat. She's lying. HR asked, do you have documentation? I opened my folder, because now I carried it everywhere like armor. I showed the IT access log, my username used at 8:41 p.m. from an iPhone, and the 2FA code routed to 7712. I showed Apple sign-in history and the alert timestamp during the kitchen confrontation. I showed the bank case notes about the trusted device and Elm Street pings. IT verified, in real time, that my profile's contact number had been edited. HR took copies and told me to wait while they consulted legal. That afternoon, I met attorney Kim, a consumer protection lawyer Ron recommended. She didn't dramatize it. She just named it. Identity theft, she said. Fraud. You file a police report, freeze your credit, and stop speaking to her directly. So I did. Police report with attachments. Credit freeze. New locks, because Brooke once borrowed my spare key and never returned it. New bank account with in-person verification only. Two-factor switch to an authenticator app, not texts. Mom finally let me run her credit too, whispering, "I didn't know." Brooke reacted like someone losing control. She posted a vague rant about toxic family. She left me 2 voicemails, one sobbing apology, one furious threat. I forwarded everything to Attorney Kim and the detective assigned to my report. 2 days later, HR called me back in. "We've confirmed unauthorized access," they said. "You're cleared. Your leave is lifted." Relief hit so hard my eyes burned. Then HR added, "Law enforcement may contact you." "I already contacted them," I said. That night, with my locks changed and my phone finally quiet, Mom texted me one sentence that made my stomach drop again. Mom texted, "Brooke just got served at work, and she's furious." Brooke didn't show up at Mom's house after she got served. She didn't storm the porch or beg forgiveness in the driveway like she used to after smaller betrayals. She did what she always did when she couldn't control the room. She vanished and tried to control the story from a distance. For a week, Mom bounced between rage and grief. Some days she called me crying, saying, "How could she?" Other days she went quiet and said, "I just want my family back," like the family was a vase and I was the one who dropped it. Attorney Kim reminded me, gently, that guilt was the tool Brooke used best. "Boundaries feel cruel to people who benefit from your lack of them," she said. The detective eventually confirmed what we already knew. Brooke had used Mom's Wi-Fi to log into my accounts, rerouted my 2-factor number, and opened credit in my name. She'd also redirected Mom's mail to that P.O. box so the courthouse notices wouldn't land where they should. In the end, the case wasn't one big dramatic reveal. It was a stack of small, boring records that added up to a life-altering truth. The bank recovered one of the Zelle transfers after it hit a flagged account, but the rest became part of restitution. HR reinstated me with a formal letter clearing my record. I slept for the first time in weeks and woke up sore, like my body had been holding itself together with wire. Mom and I did something we'd never done before. We told the truth out loud. Not, "She's sensitive." Not, "Don't make a scene." Truth. Mom froze her credit. She closed the P.O. box. She stopped answering Brooke's late-night calls. She started therapy, and so did I. I missed the sister I thought I had. I don't miss the sister who used my name like a tool. If you're reading this and your gut is screaming, listen to it. Screenshot everything. Pull your credit report. Add 2-factor that isn't SMS. Put a verbal password on your bank profile. Don't let family be a loophole someone uses to steal from you. On Christmas night, after the house emptied and the lights finally stopped flashing at me, I sat on my own couch, locked my door, and felt something unfamiliar settle in my chest. It wasn't peace exactly, but it was mine, and I wasn't giving it back.